Hello everybody. Today we are doing a quick little speed draw with me. I decided I wanted to draw like a fake record album cover for a fake album that the Pupettes would sing with fake songs. Just very fake, but in the world of the Pupettes, this would exist, I guess. Nice little holiday album that people could buy. I just felt like it would be something really cute. I was inspired a lot by some vintage albums I was seeing on Pinterest. And I also just felt like doing some Puppet stuff because YouTube decided to push one of my older YouTube videos to a bunch of people, and I have a ton of new subscribers, and I wanted to say hello and welcome and maybe touch upon some questions that I was getting in comments that maybe people might not have seen from other Puppets videos. Basically, I want to acknowledge that a bunch of you said that you've seen these girls on Pinterest, and that is really cool to me. I've actually come across them on Pinterest too, and I've scrolled through the comments, and I thought it was really cute how many people were like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite character, this is my favorite character. One of my favorite things about the Pupettes and showing the Pupettes to people is to immediately see which character people are drawn to. So for every single person, it's almost always different, and I think that that's really fun. I'm always curious to see the minute someone finds out about the Pupettes. I'm always curious on who their favorite is. So yeah, I just wanted to say hi and thank you so much for all of the new subscribers, and thank you for all of the views and the likes on my previous videos. Honestly, this is such a blessing, and it's been such a big help for me and my YouTube channel, and I just really appreciate it. I appreciate all the kind comments, and I know a lot of people say that YouTube comments are always so mean, but all of my YouTube comments are actually mostly almost always nice, which makes me very happy. Anyway, I wanted to answer a few questions too regarding the game, since a lot of people are coming from my previous video I did about the Pupettes game. The video is 2 years old now, and there's been a lot of things that have gone on in those 2 years. The game concept is currently on, unfortunately, an indefinite hiatus. I'm not opposed to doing the game at all. It's still something I feel like I would really love to do. I just don't have the stamina to do it right now and to manage something like that, and my life has gotten very complicated over the past 2 years with managing my own business and then also health issues and family stuff and just a ton of things that ended up really pushing all of this to the back burner over and over again. And I felt really bad. I didn't want to keep pushing this concept to the back burner and tease people with just some art and then be like, it'll come out eventually, it'll come out eventually. So while the game is on a hiatus, it doesn't mean that I've stopped making Pupettes content. All I did was shift over to something that's easier for me to manage, which is just small little comics for now. I already have 2 comics done that I have up on their Instagram and on their website that you can check out if you are curious. And I am working on the 3rd installment right now. The comics are inspired by vintage comics from the 1950s and 1960s. I just wanted them to be kind of quick and cute and funny and quippy and, a easy read, fun, feel-good comic. So that's kind of what I've been doing right now. I've just been introducing the characters each little installment for now, and then once all of the characters are introduced, I'm hoping that I can just explore a little more story stuff with them. So while there is no game, at least not right now, there is content to consume. At least a little bit of content, a teeny tiny baby content, which are some comics, but I am working on more comics. So that's basically my plan for right now, is just to continue doing that. That's not to say that maybe someday down the line I'll pick up the idea of making a game again. I feel like it would be really fun, and I still would love to do a rhythm game, but a rhythm game with vintage music and set in a vintage kind of world. I feel like it would be super fun to do, super fun to explore, but I honestly just don't have the time or the managerial ability, if that makes sense, to do it right now. And I'm sorry if that's disappointing, but the whole concept isn't dead, I promise. I am still working on stuff. Anyway, I wanted to do something kind of like cute and Christmassy themed, but I already did a Puppets holiday themed image a few years ago, and I'll post that here. And it's like their Christmas outfits. So I didn't want to like keep making new outfits. I mean, not that I'm opposed to making new Christmas outfits or holiday outfits, but I wanted to do something a little more fun, and I thought like a cute little Christmas album would be really cool. I figured in the lore of the Puppets that, you know, once they became a little more established, they would have their own little albums that you could buy where they would have recordings of them singing and singing the songs that they would perform on stage. So that's what this would be, is them in their Christmas outfits and singing and performing a bunch of fake Christmas songs like Tinsel and Twinkle, Deck the Halls with Glitter and Glam, Peppermint Twistmas, Holiday Hound Hop, and Snowflakes and Satin. I have no idea what these songs would sound like. I just kind of was like thinking of funny, punny holiday songs, just some titles. If you had this album, what do you think the songs would sound like? I referenced a bunch of holiday-themed record albums and tried to make it kind of as authentic as possible by including like the record label that they would belong to, which I made up called Fur Tone Records. I don't know, it was just something that I just pulled off the top of my head. And obviously, since they're dog girls, everything's gonna have like little puns about dogs and cats in here, because there are cats in this world too. They do have another group that they go against called the Burlesques, which are a cat group. Anyway, more about this piece specifically. I got this little border down and I liked it, and then I decided to start laying down colors. Now initially I wanted to do like a very limited palette, but it is really hard to do a limited palette with the Puppets because they're like all the colors of the rainbow. So I ended up doing kind of muted colors and then struggling between trying to keep it kind of limited and not keep it limited. So I was in general very unhappy with the colors. So I did a lot of messing around, and I figured maybe what I could do to unify them was to give them all the same shading color, which I was thinking of doing maybe in like a deep blue, because I felt like the blue kind of has that vintage vibe to it when shadows are kind of that blue hue. But obviously first, before we do anything, we gotta add my favorite part, which is the blush. Once the blush was added, I moved on to the shading. This is the part where I really started messing around with a bunch of colors and trying to figure out how I wanted to approach everything. It looks really weird right now. Whenever I lay down unifying shadows like this, I do like a deep color, lay it down, and then I go into the layer properties and change it to like a multiply or something like that, and then adjust the opacity. So it looks weird in the beginning, but then when you start messing around with the layer properties, it kind of comes together. I always do this on a different layer, and then I also can go in and mess with the color itself with like the hue levels and everything, and see if there's maybe a color that looks better across the whole image. So I did that a bunch of times. I did different layers and tried different things, and at this point in time it's really just experimenting and messing with things until I come to a look that I am comfortable and happy with. Another issue I was running into that I was hoping that like shading and highlights would help with is that some of the colors got very close together in hue and value, especially this area right here. I was really struggling with like the goldenrod color of Honey's hair, and then the orange and the pink of all of their hair. Just, it was too close. So I did a lot of shading and highlights to try to remedy this situation. But I was also running into this issue in other spots where I felt like areas blended too much together. So while I contemplated how I was going to manage this, because I didn't want to go full render, full multiple different colors and all of this stuff, I wanted to keep it kind of limited a little bit. I decided I was gonna let my brain mull that over while I finished the rest of the illustration, which was, adding highlights in areas and adding the dots on Dottie and coloring line work and just doing a bunch of other things while I contemplated my next steps, essentially. So after adding a bunch of specific spots of darker color and highlight to add a little more depth, I decided to go in with the same color as my background and add kind of this like white line around all of the girls, kind of as like different levels. And I felt like that helped a lot, and it really made them pop, and it made it just work way better. And then the last part of this was adding all of the textures, adding the chromatic aberration, and just kind of messing around with essentially like digital weathering to make it look like an old album cover. And with that, that's it. So let's move on to the final image. That's about it for this video. Let me know what you think of the illustration. Do you like it? Does it look convincing? Like it's a real vintage album from the 50s? If you're new to the Pupettes, and even if you are an old fan of the Pupettes, leave a comment below and tell me which girl is your favorite and why. And also tell me who you want to see next for the comic installment. I will tell you that I'm working on Bebe right now, but after Bebe, who do you want to see after that? Let me know down below. And I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and comments on them. And again, thank you so much for all of the likes and the follows and the subscribers and everything. You guys are great. Thank you so much. All right, have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.